Table right here on Kenya News Alerts TV. My name is Tamara Patience, and I am joined by Emmanuel Bosire, who will help us analyze the stories that we are talking about today. So, depending on whatever time you're joining us again, feel free, welcome. The comment section is very much open. Feel free to give us your comments as well as your opinions on the matters that you're discussing right here on Kenya Table. Of course, we never fail to ask the question: who did what, where, when, why, and how. And of course, how much more or less is the government going to spend, and how much more or less is the taxpayer going to incur? So, what is currently happening? Of course, we know that in the House, talks are still there about, or reactions are still there about the President's State of the Nation address. And we have different people giving different remarks in regards to what is currently happening. So first on the list, we have Team Wanyonyi, who actually stated that there's a lot of wastage in the government that is already straining. Okay, and this is in regards to the tree planting exercise that happened on Monday. Now, Emmanuel, so we saw the government creating this holiday or this specific day for people to actually plant trees. But does it show, or creating this particular day and seeing leaders go to different zones to plant trees and all that, is it part of wastage, or is it part of growth of this of the country, as well as the agenda of climate change?
It cannot be wastage because the sponsors of that program are known. So the international governments, the superpowers, the ones who are sponsoring these activities, actually there's no Kenyan money that's being used in tree planting events. No. That money they've been given by the International Market Fund. They've been given by World Bank. They've been given by the United States. So using money that you've been given without even audit, I don't think it is a wastage. But if it were to be taxpayers' money that's being used, just as we said in the morning, that one of the wastage that the government does is by spending money in their allowances, the events, their offices, the presidency, and the offices of the governments are the ones which actually waste a lot of money in doing things that are not on demand at the moment. So the tree planting activities and events, this is not a Kenyan thing. This is not something that Kenyans are doing. This is not something that Kenyans own it. If we own this idea, then it could be. But this is something that it's affecting the whole world. So the key people here who are playing in this game, the United States, the World Bank, the IMF, and other non-government organizations that have come in and have given out their resources to countries in Africa, all countries in the world, so that they can be doing this. It will move out to be an international day someday. But at the moment, maybe these are building stages whereby they are trying to see what will be happening. But in the near future, it will be something that will be acceptable globally. But at the moment, we cannot blame maybe Kenya Kwanza's government for using. That is not Kenya's money, but that's money meant for planting trees.
Okay, let's listen to Team Wanyonyi's argument on how the government is actually wasting money or resources that looking at for planting trees, that is, during the times that Kenya is actually straining.
Speech, because he looked worried and spoke without reading, but later I realized that maybe he had memorized his speech. He gave out, I believe, what looked like a self-examination of his conscience and a report giving to the country. Madam Speaker, only those who are sitting in government, I think they believe things are okay. But from the body language of the president, he is a worried man. Things are not working, and he just stopped informing the country that they are in trouble, that we are in trouble. And we want to believe that he has good intentions for the country, and that within the next 12 months, he'll move with speed to put the country back on the road. Some of these people, the people sitting with him in government, Madam Speaker, they are not helping much. On Monday, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, when we are, the day they declared a national holiday for planting trees, we saw in the media how wastage in a government that is already struggling with cash constraints, the CSS and senior government officials flying from one corner of the country to another to go and plant trees. This job could have been done very well by the DCCs, the chiefs, and including the local leadership. I believe that is part of controlling government expenditure. And when we are struggling with no cash, Madam Speaker, I think the president needs good people around him to help him, Madam Speaker, to streamline how the government can recover and bring back the economy back on the road. But the way we are going, I see that there is no seriousness in the government, and we hope that when the bipartisan report is come here, we will see something different coming out so that the government can start functioning the way Kenyans expected. I'm sure the Kenya Kwanza government made so much promises to Kenyans. The Kenyans have got very high expectation, and from what they are seeing, they are frustrated. People of Kenya are so frustrated, and they're still waiting to see the bottoms-up promise, the hustlers rising from down there and being placed somewhere. And even the hustler fund, I'm still waiting to see the effect, because the president said so much has been done. I'm still even to hear from anybody from my constituents tell me what hustler fund has done in his life or impacted on him. All these are things that we are looking forward to. And I'm very sure that with his determination, he's a man who has got a lot of energy, and I'm very sure President Ruto, if he gets right men and women in his government, Madam Speaker, he will deliver to Kenyans. But the way it is now, I doubt it. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. The next chance will go to the member for Keio South, Honorable Gideon Kemayo.
So, Emmanuel, what are your reactions on Team Wanyonyi?
Just like he said about wastage, you see, in as much money cannot be yours, you can use it to save for other priorities. So you saw all key leaders all over the country were planting trees. And somebody will be thinking that of this money that was used, I know when government officers auction or buy maybe the tree seedlings, I'm sure they did not get it free from Kenya forests seedlings. They bought it, and maybe the audit was not the 5 shillings a normal Kenyan will buy it. So I find out that one who got the tender could have made a good deal and gone home. But they're the same politicians who give tenders, some to their relatives, some to their friends, and some to their political supporters. So what I can just simply say, I'll back up his words that the government is the main source of wasting money. In as much they go and look for it, but when they get it, they also spend it in a good percentage by wasting it.
Now, what about Mheshimiwa Ruto? Should he change the people who are advising him? Should he change those who are behind him? Because clearly from Wanyonyi's statements, those people are the source of his underperformance, would say.
Yeah, true. You know, at times you are not the right person to tell the president to change the people the advisors, those advising him. But at times, you can see from the look of things, why do people always keep complaining about me? Could I be the problem? Could those near me the problem? So changing the advisory team times in politics is not that easy, because these are people who give the ideologies. They give you a system like, is it Mutai Ngunyu who gave out the hustler narrative to William Ruto? So he sold it, and then maybe at the moment, seemingly it might not work out. So for President Ruto changing her advice and going for another system, it will be in another campaign mode, panic. Politics, again, changing friends, especially the first time as a president, it becomes very difficult, because these people are very powerful. Just like maybe President Ruto kicking out Moses Kuria today from maybe the cabinet secretary seat. It will bring a lot of tension in his political moves, especially from Mount Kenya region. What if today President Ruto decides to sacrifice Davis Chirchir? It will also bring a problem into it. So this happens especially when those who are working with you are the close confidants who believe in your system of governance. They are the same people who sold bottom up to people. So for you to change them and bring someone else, it will bring a lot of politics, and you might not find it easy to defend your seat, especially now that he's in a campaign mode for 2027. So to change people, it cannot be good, but at times there are people who can be sacrificed. As a leader, you need to make hard political decisions. One that it's very wrong, maybe it will affect you, but as a leader, you dare do it, because it's by doing it that maybe it can save you. Yeah.
Okay. And lies, and more lies. That is what Edwin Sifuna is actually talking about, or that is what Edwin Sifuna relates the State of the Nation address to, as well as what President Ruto talked about. Let's just listen to Sifuna, and then we'll be right back.
Nataka tuende kwa haraka. Your Excellency, Prime Minister Raila Odinga, my party leader, the deputy, Honorable Paranya, viongozi wote wako hapa na viongozi wa makanisa, na wasalimu kwa jina la Yesu Kristo. Mjambo. Bana befu mulembe lundi. Mulomele mulinyu mwezi balu ya. Nono ndo makulu wefu kidogo zikalika rio. Na akaulira niko mulome. Mulomele mulimbu kulese ekalamu. Ekalamu ekholendye male ebintu bino. Aya, nono bintu bilala wase mumbolelanga khuzata. Elusiro wase munanga. Enyuma bwetendi wase nono mwenya mulomeze ebwenu omudozi wange khola ndio nakhola kalomale khane mwando manga ne khuli Westlands mala wakholanga na bandu bo bakubole. Nono bibindi kena kukholeza pole pole zikali kari. Mheshimiwa Raila, mimi nataka nikushukuru na nishukuru hawa viongozi wa makanisa ambao wako hapa, kwa sababu nyinyi mnatoa mwelekeo mzuri kwa wakati huu. Mnajua kwamba kanisa letu katika taifa letu la Kenya linalaumiwa pakubwa kwa makosa ama ile mambo ambayo tunajipanda ndani kama tumejipata ndani kama taifa. Lakini sio nyinyi, yale makanisa ambaye tunajua wale manabii ya uongo wameandikwa sijui prayer warriors wa huko State House, kazi yao ni kupiga kelele wakiimbia huyo jamaa, na yeye ile hali anaumiza watu wa Mungu. Hakuna hata siku ule mtu anaombanga na huyo president anaweza mwambia bro, wewe unaumiza watu wa Mungu, tafadhali punguza. Leo hata tusiombe, ingia tu upunguze bei ya mafuta badala ya kudanganya hapa watu na hii mambo ya prayer warriors. Kwa hivyo mimi nataka niwashukuru nyinyi. Nyinyi mnajua mimi ni Mkatoliki. Kanisa langu la Katoliki, baba ni Mwanglikana. Kanisa la Katoliki limeibuka na likatoa sauti ya kanisa. Ikasema kwamba wananchi wanaumia. Baba, mimi nilikuwa nafikiria wanasiasa wako na shida ngumu sana, kwa sababu kila mtu akikuwa na shida anapigia wanasiasa kura. Simu. Sasa wewe fikiria hawa mapasta na wao ndio wanashinda na hawa watu hapo. Ile shida ya wananchi wote wanamwaga kwa bishop, wanamwaga kwa pastor, mimi Sifuna pia wananimwagia ile imebaki. Sasa hawa ndio wamebeba mzigo ya jamii. Kwa hivyo wakisimama hapa waseme wananchi wanaumia, kama hautasikia ya wanasiasa, kama uwezi sikia Sifuna, wanasemanga huyo Sifuna huyo hakuna kitu mzuri anaweza sema. Lakini siku watafanya kitu mzuri nitasema. Kufikia sasa sijaona. Yani niseme tu na hakuna kitu mzuri wamefanya. So mimi nataka kuwashukuru nyinyi. Wakati wa campaign hapa Nairobi mlitembea na sisi. Katika constituency zenu mliniombea kura na nataka niseme asante. Hawa viongozi wa Westlands hapa, Mheshimiwa Timu Wanyonyi aliniombea kura. Hakuna mahali Westlands team alikuwa anaenda bila kuniita, anasema twende tuongee na watu wa Westlands wanipatie kura pia mimi. Na nilipata kura nyingi sana hapa Westlands, nasema asante. Hata hawa MCAs wako hapa. Na Mheshimiwa Raila mwenyewe kila mahali tulikuwa tunaenda tunaombea kura baba, yeye pia anatuombea kura. Na ndio maana ilinivunja moyo kuona kwamba kuna viongozi wengine wakati wa campaign walikuwa wanapigana sana hapa mbele, wanataka kukaa mbele, wanataka baba washike mkono. Saa ile wameingia bunge wanamea pembe, hadi sasa wamekuwa wakubwa sana, wanashinda huyu mzee ambaye aliwatafutia kura. Mimi kama katibu nimesema, kwa sababu najua baba hako na roho mzuri atakusamea, lakini mimi ni tofauti kidogo. Mimi nikiwa bado katibu mkuu wa chama nitakukumbusha ya kwamba wakati ambapo chama kilihitaji usimame na wananchi wa Kenya, wewe ulikataa kusimama na wananchi. Kwa hivyo mimi usiniingize kwa vitu yako. Kila mtu afanye nini? Abebe mzigo wake na msalaba wake. Mheshimiwa Raila Odinga, sisi tuko pale kwa bunge kuwakilisha maoni ya hawa wananchi. Yesterday we were debating the president's speech. Mheshimiwa Raila, these people in bunge never allow me to say things because wanajua tukisema tutasema ukweli. Ile speech ya Ruto alitoa bunge ilikuwa ni uongo tupu. Uongo tupu. Na mimi nilisema siwezi kuenda kwa bunge nikae pale ni nyamazi saa ile mtu anasema uongo. Ningeshout kitu wanitupe nje ya bunge miezi 6. Kwa hivyo si kuenda, lakini hapa naweza kusema alidanganya. Alituambia unga sasa imefika hadi 150. Hapo Westlands mumeona unga ya 150. Huko Western tumetoka juzi alisema gorogoro sasa ni 70. Gorogoro ya 70 mmeiona hapa? Kwa nini wewe kiongozi usimame mbele ya wananchi udanganye? Na Mheshimiwa Raila, mimi naelewa wale watu wanasema uzungumze, lakini swali najiuliza tu mimi. You know, there used to be a politician called Martin Shikuku, walikuwa wanamuita the people's watchman, the people's watchdog, si ndio? Wewe kama uko na umbwa yako ya kukuchunga iko kwa mlango, umbwa ikuone wewe umeshika mwizi mkono unaingia na yeye kwa nyumba, umbwa imekuona wewe ndio umeingiza mwizi kwa nyumba, alafu unasimama unasema mbona hiyo umbwa haikubweka? Ibweke aje na imekuona wewe ukiingiza mwizi kwa nyumba? Si inakuamini wewe? Sasa wale watu ambao waliingiza hii serikali kwa mamlaka, waache kusumbua wengine wakisema ati tupige kelele. Tupige kelele itatusaidia na nini? Wakati ya kupiga kura ndio the most important time. Mchague viongozi ambao wana maadili, ambao wanaweza kuweka maslahi ya wananchi mbele. Kwa hayo mengi, nataka nichukue fursa hii nimkaribishe naibu wa kinara wa chama chetu. Unajua ndani ya ODM Waluya tuko na a very big stake. This is the deputy party leader of ODM, Mheshimiwa Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya. Ni Mluya ama ni Mjaluo? Oyino Mluya na Mwekolosina. Secretary General kumukanda kwa ODM, Kolosina ni? Omuluya na ezo Munyoro. Ne mulomanga mulizia masiefu zina. Bibi amabilinge yeyo kali timu Wanyonyi ali mford Kenya ta. Ewo chamurie. Kama timu yuko ndani ya Ford Kenya, wewe unaingiaje huko? Chama ya Waluya ni gani? ODM. Nimefurahi mmesema nyinyi wote hapa ni members. Kama we bado sio member, unajua vile ya kuingia kwa chama, baba amefanya imekuwa rahisi. Unachukua simu *486*036# unakuwa member. Na mimi ukikuwa member ndio rahisi kufikia SG kwa sababu unakuja kuniona kama member wa chama, si ndio? Kwa hivyo nataka nichukue fursa hii nimkaribishe deputy party leader ambaye atatuitia baba Raila Amolo Odinga, Mheshimiwa Wycliffe Ambetsa Oparanya. Asante sana.
Senator Edwin Sifuna is one whose political growth has been made, I can say, by Raila Odinga. And Raila Odinga, you know, is one of the key politicians who have made or have nurtured and retained many of the leaders we have in our country. In a point that some leave, but again, it's good others to leave so that they can create space for others. But I can see him a very good, vibrant leader who is very articulate. You see, he's uh, arguments in Senate, and you really want to say that we need to have kind leaders who are like-minded, like Edwin Sifuna, who dare to tell the truth, even to their political leaders. If Azimio goes wrong, he will come up and say that here we've done a mistake. This is one of the goodness that we elect leaders who have done law, especially in leadership positions like senators. Senators, yours is majority is to do oversight and majority of constitutional amendments. So if you don't have a good mastery of how the law is being made, the constitution, the Bill of Rights, and maybe the supremacy of the presidency, it becomes very difficult for you. And that's why you find some of the senators don't really want to speak and articulate their own ideas in Senate unless they wait for what their political parties are doing. Is when you see them active. So Edwin Sifuna, in as much is very vibrant and very, you saw the other day, told that he would never, or he never attended the State of the Nation address. So some came up saying that he's not showing up a good picture, but majority came up backing up and saying that the president is very maybe unfulfilling his promises. So these are some of the things that people used to see the future of politicians. So for him, in the next maybe 10 years, if it continues with the same spirit that he's having, it can be something in this our country. And then maybe referring to the promises that the president is doing. Now, you see, majority of the ODM leaders, after actually the elections, the likes of Junet Mohammed, they went underground. The likes of Jalango, who are times of campaigns for opposing President Ruto at the moment, they are having same meals. So the likes of Hassan Joe and many others, to name but a few, who never believed in President Ruto's campaign, but at the moment have shifted to the other camp of Kenya Kwanza. So he is reminding them as a party leader that in as much Baba might forget, but as long as I will continue being a member of ODM, I will not allow you to come back to ODM. And another thing maybe now that is very key in Western region. These are some of the things that he can play that can make him a kingpin someday. You see the likes of how do we call this one? Oparanya Wycliffe. Their age is going, and you see that the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, Cleophas Malala have all joined Kenya Kwanza. What if things go amiss in Kenya Kwanza? So it will be, for him, easy. It will be that he'll be on the key front to lead the people from Western region to make key political decisions that will be coming. So the event for today seemed to be a Western event. It was a Mlembe Nation. Team Wanyonyi is from, and in as much they spoke much about Kenyan issues, they were again seeing what's going on from Western region. This is a region that Raila Odinga has been enjoying for quite a long time. So you will not want to lose it easily to President William Ruto. So he has worked out and seen that using vibrant Edwin Sifuna, using the Oparanya and other leaders from Western, bringing in Team Wanyonyi. Wanyonyi slightly lost the elections. And one of the reasons that made Sakaja maybe to win is that Wanyonyi had they are from Western. Sakaja is from Western. Wanyonyi. We have Edwin Sifuna. So are you seeing the kind of political leaders we'll be having? So if Mount Kenyan leaders continue saying that we are people from Mount Kenya, other regions are now making themselves. They're building a good foundation that they want to face Mount Kenya region and maybe make them get the presidency. And making maybe matters more worse, we've seen the bullfight himself coming openly and telling the deputy president to keep off Western politics. So meaning anytime anything can happen and they can join hands. The goodness with politics is that there's no permanent friendship. Today I can be with you, tomorrow if you don't have my interest, I'll go away. So that's what I can give out.
And you've mentioned Junet Mohammed, and he's actually part of what we are discussing today right here on the Q&A table. And so, viewers, just before we continue, feel free to give us your comments as well as your opinions on the comment section on the matters that we are discussing, coming from the side of course, the cost of living in Kenya, to matters Kenya, to what is happening even in your area zone, as well as the leadership in our country, Kenya. Now, of course, still in the National Assembly, we saw different members of parliament react to the State of the Nation or debate on the State of the Nation address that was issued by the president. And let's just listen to what Junet Mohammed had to say, and then we'll be right back.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to contribute to this motion, to this debate on the presidential address. Madam Speaker, first I want to bring to the attention of the House that's a requirement of the Constitution that the President once in a year reports to this Parliament on the achievement of certain parameters that are stipulated in the Constitution. And Madam Speaker, that provision was made in the Constitution so that this House can hold the President accountable. We are not here to have a chorus of thanking the President, appreciating what he said. That's none of our business as a House. We want to know, as a House, from his speech, whether the last 1 year he has achieved those issues that he is supposed to report back to this House, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, when I listened very keenly to the President on that day, because I was present in the House, I almost thought that the President is relaunching his UDA manifesto again for the second time, Madam Speaker. Because the whole speech was full of promises, promise after promise after promise after promise. Madam Speaker, these promises must come to an end, and Kenyans must be told what the government of the day has achieved for the last 1 year, Madam Speaker. 1 year is quite a long period of time, Madam Speaker. A lady gets a child in 1 year, Madam Speaker, after getting married. A whole human being is produced in 1 year, Madam Speaker, through marriage, Madam Speaker. So if you can produce a whole human being living in 1 year, but in 9 months actually, in less than a year, what is this that you cannot achieve in 1 year, Madam Speaker? So, Madam Speaker, let us be honest to Kenyans. Let us not address Kenyans as though some of them are living on earth and others are living in the moon, Madam Speaker. I heard people saying that we have stabilized the economy. I don't understand what stabilization means. When people are suffering, the cost of living is high, the cost of food is high, what have you stabilized? Unless you have stabilized things in a manner that we Kenyans cannot see. You are struggling with debt payment, you are struggling with revenues, you are struggling with all kinds of things, and then you have the audacity to tell Kenyans that we have stabilized the economy. A stabilized economy is an economy that has less debt and higher revenues, where you don't need to borrow to pay a debt. We are living in an economy where today, if we don't borrow, we will not be able to pay our debts, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, some of the things that I listened to in that speech, for example, is the issue of the Hustler Fund. Somebody borrowed 740,000, and now he's a rich man. He has bought a tuk-tuk. Madam Speaker, I don't know if we are living in the same country or we are living in different parts of the world, Madam Speaker. If you have a 740,000 shillings, that is enough to buy a tuk-tuk. But if people are saying that, it's like telling me today that I will get 1 million shillings.
Honorable Speaker, you know, the Honorable Junet has been born in affluence. He's lived as a rich kid. So he does not know how much 700,000 can transform a person's life. He does not know that the price of unga today has moved from 250, which he supported during President Uhuru's speech in this very house, that it was 250. Now it's at 135.
Order, Honorable Owen Bayer. Order, Honorable Owen Bayer. That is a point of debate. You will have your chance to actually debate. Honorable Junet.
Madam Speaker, thank you for protecting me. You know, if the President and his government are relying on advice from Honorable Bayer, then I can tell you things will get worse going forward. Because I should expect as a leader to tell the President that on this one we are... Madam Speaker, in the whole speech of the President, I did not hear a word that was addressing the cost of living, Madam Speaker. And what is killing Kenyans is the cost of living. That is what this government promised to lower. They never promised to tell us that they are going to buy tuk-tuk for people, they are going to buy this for this. No, it's about ugali, it's about their stomachs, it is about their lives, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to urge the government that in the next presidential address, which will be 2 years, a year from now, and it will be 2 years of this government, Madam Speaker, I hope and pray that there will be something.
Your time is up. The next chance will go to... The next chance I will not add. It is 5 minutes. I will not add.
So that was Junaid Mohammed, of course, and he asked this question: why is it, what is it that the government cannot achieve in 1 year, relating it to a pregnant woman who carries a pregnancy for 9 months and delivers something, and relating that to the government, for example? Now, first of all, is that a statement that sits well with you, or what do you think is actually the biggest challenge to why Kenya cannot achieve what people are expecting in 1 year, per se?
One, we don't have a working system whereby the transition from government to government is easy. So one of the challenges that maybe President William Ruto is facing is that the transition was very difficult. So we saw that actually 2 days after elections, the National Treasury was commanded to transfer a lot of billions to some people's accounts, and they left him without money. So when you are given an office without money, it will become very difficult for you to work out. Mm-hmm. So the transition process from one government to another government becomes very difficult, compared from maybe if he retains come 2027, he will continue with almost everything. There's nothing new that will come in. Okay. But in case he loses come 2027, there'll be almost 1 full year of transition. So by the time that you transist your power, you change ministers, you must come out, go bring in newer people, remove those who you believe will not serve you well. You take your time. So this is what actually affects Kenyans as a country, not to be able to deliver in its manifesto for the first year in office. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And of course, he's also talked about or touched on some of the issues that, of course, Kenyans are facing, also citing some misplaced priorities, as per even what we discussed earlier on Ask Siasa, because he stated that a nation that is actually stable means less debt and an increase in revenue. And most definitely this and more discussions in regards to matters economy, matters cost of living, of course, you can find them still on our channel. So just take a look at the previous videos that we've done, of course, on Ask Siasa, as well as Q&A table, and also be part of the conversation through the comment section, most definitely. Now, earlier on today, of course, we saw Raila Odinga address different people or in a gathering, and he actually talked about something in regards to the elections period, saying that it's too early to actually be campaigning right now, saying that watu wangojee mpaka kule 2026 is when they should now sit down and probably start campaigning or start looking towards the campaign season. And of course, this comes at a time where different leaders we have seen, of course, express their disappointment with the current government, and also we have seen different leaders throughout the year actually campaigning in the different regions that they actually go to. So I want us to listen to Raila Odinga, and then we'll be right back to wind up the Q&A table.
Wanne si walitoka kati ya 4 na 3, ipi ni kubwa? Ipi ni kubwa? Ni sababu mimi nimesema ukiniambia mimi nilishindwa siwezi kukubali. Maana yake mimi sijapata jawabu. Wale tena juzi wamesema ati ile form ambayo inatakikana ijazwe na tume form 34C mpaka leo ijajazwa. Hakujaza. Maana yake alijua kama angejaza hiyo form ingejulikana kwamba nasema uongo. Kwa sababu hajachapishwa matokeo ya uchaguzi, hajachapishwa mpaka leo ya presidential. Alichapa ile ya county matokeo, lakini county hakuna returning officer. Returning officer yuko kwa constituency, hajachapisha. Aliogopa kufanya. Manake returning officer wangemwambia hii matokeo ambayo amechapisha kwa gazeti ni uongo mtupu. Sasa tunasema ile timu yetu ambayo wako pale mpaka watoke na matokeo vile Paranya amesema, ambayo inaonyesha vile tutarekebisha mambo ya IEBC. Pili, waongee juu ya mambo ya gharama ya maisha. Tatu, mambo ya sava. Mambo ya sava. Ifanyiwe nini? Ukaguzi. Ili julikane matokeo yalikuwa namna gani. Haya ni masharti yetu. Tunataka gharama ya maisha irudi chini. Bei ya mafuta irudi chini. Bei ya unga irudi chini. Bei ya sukari irudi chini. Bei ya stima irudi chini. Nauli ya kusafiri irudi chini. Hata kodi ya nyumba irudi chini. Tunaelewana vizuri? Sio ni sawa? Kwa hivyo mimi sasa niko na nyinyi. Niko na huyo kijana yangu. Okay. Team hoye. Wanyonyi hoye. Hello. Sasa mwisho kabisa mimi nitatoa viti ya kukaa ya kanisa 1,000. Tiba zaleta. Sawa. Asante.
Haya. Makofi.
Haya. Sawa.
So earlier on, of course, Baba talked about putting a halt, of course, to the campaign period. But is that something that you see happening, considering the fact that we are seeing people from both sides of the party, that is Kenya Kwanza as well as Azimio, actively participating in politics?
Politics will always be there.
No.
One of the things that Kenyans or majority people do is that they want to detach themselves from politics.
No.
So if you want good policy formulation, politics must be played. So what Raila Odinga and Azimio are doing at large, together with what President Ruto and Kenya Kwanza are doing, is politics. So what political analysts do, what researchers do, everything that you see, public participation, politics, tree planting, politics, and many other things, you find out that it's politics. So for just what he has done, his only signal has given a signal for what's happening in Nairobi. Politics, you keep on, it's dynamic. Today, the ground will be for Azimio, tomorrow it will shift.
Yeah.
So at the moment, they have realized that Team Wanyonyi is hitting the ground. Very terrible, preparing for 2027. Babu Owino is trying to come in and look away that is going to come and vie for government. So they are trying to see who really was going to work out. They are seeing that Edwin Sifuna is getting it the best. Now, from the look, if Sifuna retained the senator seat, come 2027 for senator, and maybe either Team Wanyonyi or Babu Owino from Azimio makes it, it will be very difficult for President Raila Endorses. It is very difficult. Remember in Nairobi County, it's one of the counties that's difficult to maintain.
No.
Kidero tried, people so. Sonko tried impeachment. Sakaja's here, things have started showing early indications. So what Azimio want to do? First, they want to win the heart of Kenyans, and that's Nairobi. So maybe they're investing a lot of it. So if they plan out well, they might speak out even President Ruto.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But okay, so there's that bit of things, but we've also seen the bit of things where, or the side of things where Raila is now also trying to address maybe the current economic state of Kenya. Does Baba actually have the power to foresee or to see the price of unga goes down, the price of electricity goes down, the price of rent goes down, as he states?
Yeah, he does, because, you know, Baba is a kingmaker.
Mm-hmm.
What if he says that Kenyans don't buy or use Safaricom? What will happen? Do you think Kenyans will not follow him? He has done that in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And he has, you know, one of the things that he can do, he can challenge the government. It's only that the government will brand him names that is not development oriented. But he has, that's Raila, not the individual, that's opposition. What's the role of opposition? To keep the government in check.
No.
Just like we've seen. So many things the opposition can do, so that the government, instead of punishing a Kenyan in some extent, they are able to maybe reduce.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of maybe increasing tax by maybe 200, they increase it by around 40 or 50 shillings.
Mm-hmm.
So that one, you see, if were it not to be opposition, Kenyans will be. So another key thing that Raila does actually is, at the moment, we might not realize what his role is.
Mm-hmm.
Let him misspend. By all means, maybe he exits politics and decide to keep quiet and do other businesses. And Kenyans will find it difficult to get someone who can be an equal or an equivalent to Raila Odinga. So what he's doing, he is able. Not he's able, opposition is able. First, we have opposition leaders in parliament.
No.
They can take laws to parliament. So they're able to do that.
Mm-hmm. And to dear viewers, of course, today on the Q&A table, we've been discussing a lot of issues, but mostly dwelling on reactions of different leaders, from Edin Sifuna to Junet Mohammed to Tim Wanyonyi, as well as Raila Odinga, of course, in response to the presidential State of the Nation address that happened a few days ago, as well as the current state of Kenya and the future of politics in Kenya, with Raila Odinga, of course, stating that campaign period is over and now it's time to work, of course, as we look forward to the next general elections, that is come 2027. And of course, this and more discussions we're going to be having right here on the Q&A table. So feel free to join our conversation, of course, through our social media handles, as well as the comment section. That is Ken News Alert TV on Facebook, on YouTube, yes, as well as Channel 7 News TV East Africa on Facebook. So from us to you, depending on whatever time you're joining us, we are saying good morning, good afternoon, and good evening.